A very good morning to you. We start with breaking news, and tractors are returning to Westminster this morning, with hundreds of farmers expected to drive into central London to protest over changes to inheritance tax. They're angry about the plans announced by the Chancellor back in the budget in October. Well, these are the latest pictures from the capital, where the vehicles have been arriving in the last few minutes ahead of a planned demonstration through the morning and into lunchtime. Let's bring in our correspondent, Shaman Freeman-Powell, who is there for us. Shaman, Kay was telling us moments ago about the noise going outside of the Westminster studio. They're making their way to the central Westminster. What's it like?
It's only just underway. We've seen maybe around 10 tractors that are now starting to make their way down Whitehall over towards Westminster to demand that the government reverse the introduction of an inheritance tax policy, which would see British farmers with properties or land worth more than £1 million being taxed 20%. Now, the whole purpose of this protest is to try and get the public's backing. These farmers, there are going to be hundreds of tractors descending on Whitehall, asking for the government to reverse that. They want the public to understand the impact, the instrumental impact that they believe this policy may well cause. I'm currently stood with Alan Miller, who is a member of the public. You are a part of an organisation which is representing small businesses, isn't it? So you are the opposite end of this protest. Tell us a little bit about the impact that you believe this policy is going to have and why you're here today.
We're here today because at Together, the Together Association, and you can see the public loves our farmers, and we represent hundreds of thousands of people across Britain, small, medium-sized businesses, citizens, farmers, everyone has a need to challenge this inheritance tax imposition. It was promised in advance it would not happen. We could lose up to 70,000 farms, not 500 as some have been trying to say, and everything about our food security and about the backbone of our culture and our way of life is threatened. So that's why Together is here today, and we're saying that our public love our farmers and we need to stand together.
Well, the government would argue, wouldn't they, that they have inherited a huge black hole. They would say this is only going to impact the wealthiest, the farmers, those that have land and property worth more than £1 million. And considering that many people in this country have experienced a cost of living crisis who would only dream of owning land or property over £1 million, why should the public care?
Wait, here we go. Great, there you go, guys. Well, so you've said many things there, but it's not a residential property, right? So it's true that for £1 million, if you've got a residential property, but these are assets. They're capital assets of a business. They're capital assets. Oh, we got to see how.
You can see the tractors are definitely making it known that they have arrived.
They have arrived. They've definitely arrived. We're all with our farmers together. Great stuff. So basically, a number of things. Firstly, these are assets. They're things like buildings, there's livestock. If you've got a tractor, a combine harvester costs £5,750,000 itself. Tractors, several £100,000. All of a sudden, you might have a family dwelling there. You can't leave the farm, rent it out to someone else and come back and do the farming, particularly with livestock. So what you've got is often generational inheritance, but most farmers are not making a profit. Something like 0.5% profit. Now, a return on an investment, it is not. And we've seen all sorts of measures that have impacted them. Now this is like the straw that's breaking the camel's back, effectively. What it means is many would have to sell up in advance, pay off something they can't afford to pay. And this is egregious. It was never discussed before. And really, the government, the cabinet, Rachel Reeves, they need to step back and have a complete rethink about this. But I think what might have happened is that they may have shaken both the farmers and the public to say enough is enough, we're not having this.
Well, we can see that the farmers that have started to arrive on the tractors are actually getting a response from the public. We've had some cars beeping their horns, some members of the public clapping and so on. However, we've also heard this morning on Sky News that some farmers may well decide to halt on production if the government doesn't U-turn. That will hit working people that are already struggling to make ends meet, already struggling to ensure that their families are fed well. Why should the public be threatened in this way, I suppose? Is it right?
I think the people doing the threats are Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Keir Starmer and the new Labour government that seem to go after everyone, right? At first it's the pensioners, then it's the students, now it's the farmers. Who knew that this is what Labour wanted? Certainly wasn't what they said in advance, not historically the idea of what Labour is. And actually, farmers are dedicated and part of the fabric of our society and with citizens. And if they have to go to the point of taking these kind of measures and steps when really what they want to do is do their work and provide food for everyone, that's how serious this is. And we really need to think about it because we've seen it with energy as well. If we don't have food independence, we've got an enormous problem. And I'd encourage all of the public, all of your viewers, to come to togetherdeclaration.org. We've got a call-up sign to our MPs to let them know what we all think together.
Perfect, thank you. As you can see, there are a few more trucks going by as this protest gets underway. We can see a few more of these trucks. And I suppose I'm interested in the people that you represent at Together. You said that you represent thousands of small and medium-sized businesses. What kind of businesses is it that you're representing, and what are some of the things that they're saying?
Well, we represent all sorts of people, firstly, from all sectors, people of faith and secular, people from all kind of industries. But I personally come from a background of hospitality and entertainment. We've seen tens of thousands of operators actually go down as well since the lockdowns and the impositions that have happened. And so like many people in Britain, these new measures, along with NI increases, and the government said, oh, look, does that mean it's going to have consequences for care homes too? Yes, it will. An ill thought out, an ill conceived set of measures means that some businesses are not even setting up, but also some are having to shutter and say, we cannot afford to do this. The bottom line is that it's too expensive. That's what we're getting back. But also there's a really fundamental point, which is democracy. If you're going to do something, you're going to be elected on something, you should say it, set your stall out and then go for it. Not say you're not going to do something and then impose it on everyone. These kind of technocratic impositions that are done, and they said, take your medicine, we know what's best for you, is really a counterpose to democracy, in our opinion.
Well, I think this today, hundreds of tractors descending on Whitehall, speaking up to government, is a great example of how democracy works, isn't it? How would you like to see today play out?
I think we're going to see it's going to be a resounding success. We're going to have hundreds of tractors come in. The optics and the eyeballs are going to be really important, but also the fact that in everyone's homes, the public who love our farmers, it's not just that they've been watching Clarkson's farm, but they know that they are the backbone of Britain. And what I would very much like to see is, as many of your viewers and everyone else, let their MPs hear from them. Say, our votes depend on this. Stop this punishment of the farmers and small and medium-sized businesses and make our voices heard together. And so this gets ended. And then we have a proper conversation about food. We've just seen in America a whole new set of variables come in, make America healthy again, some people are saying. There's a big discussion about local food, organic, farmers, British-made food, what that all means. Let's have that debate in Britain and discussion, but certainly also concerns around some people making a lot of money, some of the supermarket chains, whilst farmers aren't making any more. All of this can be part of a kind of whole discussion in Britain. We need to have it.
Because in principle, I would assume that you would agree, wouldn't you, with the principle of this introduction of the inheritance tax. It's to help, I suppose, stop some large, wealthy people buying up land to avoid paying that tax. You would agree with that in principle?
So I think the thing is, if you're going to target people who are the small percentage of which a very real existence does happen, of a few people buying up land to avoid tax, then you need to come up with measures that are going to ring fence that and deal with it. What they've done is a blunt tool to impose on all farmers. It means small farmers, family farms, up to 70,000 of them are being threatened. It's an existential crisis. You can see that the Treasury do not know their numbers. They've got different numbers to DEFRA. We've seen a mess. Let's show some confidence and strength, right? Come out, say we've listened, we're going to make a different approach. That shows strength, not weakness. right? Because I think you need to take note, Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer, because these farmers deal with problems every day. They're very determined. The public love them. We're going to support them. They ain't going away.